Hey folks, building on our previous tutorial on creating buildings, I wanted to share with you some techniques you can use to create some sci-fi looking building structures pretty easily. So this is just a variation on what I talked about in my last video, but it has some new things in there that I think will definitely help with regards to creating science fiction looking structures like the image that you see right here. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all turn on my grids. If I hit Command single quote on Mac or Control single quote on PC, I will see either grids that are solid lines or I will see grids that are dotted lines. And for more information on how to set up grids, watch the previous video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just create some kind of an interesting structure. And the grids are helping me with regards to just, creating some very rectangular looking shapes. And I'm pressing down on the Shift key to restrict my brush so that it actually just moves in either a straight horizontal line or a straight vertical line. And I'll just create some interesting items in here. I'll maybe mix and match. I'll add some circular shapes. I'll add maybe some rounded rect type stuff. I'm going to make sure all of my gaps are closed. Just adding a lot of angular lines just to kind of give some movement to this particular piece. I'll have some elements that are somewhat jutting out. This is my base shape. And the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this base shape. I'm going to make a copy of it by hitting Command J. And then I'm going to hit Command T. And I'm going to just move it up. And then holding down the Option and the Shift key, I'm going to go ahead and scale it down. So it looks like this smaller box is stacked somewhere on the larger box. And then I'm going to hit Enter, and I'll hold down Shift, Option, Command T, and I'll get another stack just like so. And you can rinse and repeat depending upon how your structure is. So now I can turn off my grids. You can see what I'm left with here. Very interesting looking structure. I'll merge all of the layers together by holding down the Shift key, selecting the topmost layer and the layer that contains the bottom drawing. I'll hit Command E to go ahead and merge that. And I've got this really interesting shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command T and I'll choose the perspective tool and I'll pull the perspective out like so. Now the big difference that I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to fill in an area of white to fill in this particular shape here. So let me just go ahead and first of all use the magic wand tool. I want to make sure that anti-alias, contiguous, and sample all layers are checked. I'm using a tolerance of 99. For more information on the magic wand tool, I'll put a link to the magic wand essentials video that I've created that will help you learn more about that. I'll click outside. I'll inverse the selection by holding down Shift, Command I. I'll go to the layer below, the layer of my art. I'll fill it in with white. So I have this line art layer, and I'll just turn off my background so you can see that there is in fact a white fill. So now what I'll do is I'll merge those two layers together, and I'll hit Command J to make a copy of it, move it off to the side, Command T to transform, and I'll flip horizontally. So you can see I have this kind of like, it's like an opening, some type of a structure that you can see right away. And I want to fill in this opening, but I want to have this feel like you're going into some kind of an interior space. So what I can do now is merge these two layers. I'll hit Command J to make a copy. I'll go to the lowest layer, and I'll hit Command T, and using the Option and the Shift key, I'll transform. I'll make this a smaller version. Now just for giggles, and I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff, I'm actually going to go ahead and spin it up to where we see this type of structure like so, just to give it a little bit more variance. Maybe I'll have it like this. I'll hit Enter, and I'm going to fill this area in with blue. So already we're getting a sense that there is some implied depth. It's not great, but we have something. What we need is some type of a horizon line And we'll just basically connect these two areas in. We'll fill it in. And now we have, you know, some type of a structure. Everything is looking very symmetric and it's kind of boring. So what I can do is I can add some different variations, you know, just kind of break that symmetry up a little bit. Maybe I'll put some pipes or some other elements that kind of stick up. And I can also add some sense of thickness. So I can come back in and give a little bit of thickness to these shapes, just so that they feel like they're part of some type of physical structure. And I'm going a little bit fast, I realize this, but I can come back in, fill these areas in. And what that's doing is it just gives us a little bit more form. All right, so now that I've got that in place, I can merge all of these layers together. And the question is, well, why would you do that? It's like you've got basically now white and blue. Well, no problem. If I use the magic wand tool, I can select the blue, and then I can go up to select and choose similar. It selects all of the blue, and I can hit Command J, and that basically extracts the blue to its own layer. So now I've got a drawing that just has the line art. Now, I want to make this a little bit more interesting. We can certainly do some of those tricks that we have here. Maybe we can throw in some wires. Maybe we can add some hint of other structural elements that are actually, you know, maybe behind. Maybe there's some structure that's going on over here. Got some wires. Maybe there's some scaffolding. And already we can start to see, and even if I put some little dots here, we're getting a sense that there is some type of a building that has some depth. We can add some other accessories to give this a more, you know, we can get a sense of scale. If we add like a car or a spaceship or something, we can get an idea of how big or how small something actually is. What I want to do next, though, is I want to just take certain parts of this and just chop it off. I'm just using the lasso tool just to chop it off. And I'm going to just fill this in by adding some rocky terrain. You know, I'm not going to be super precise with it, just... And the brush that I'm using is actually a part of my upcoming brush pack volume 2. This particular brush kind of mimics that of a nib brush. So if you've ever inked with like some kind of a Winsor Newton brush or whatever, this is my attempt to go ahead and make something that mimics that particular feel. I'm going to come back in with some black fills, as one does, because black fills really add a sense of volume. It kind of breaks up some of those lines, makes it easier to kind of see what's going on. I'm adding some textures. I might put some vegetation, you know, just other things to where these things feel like they're kind of anchored in space. Now I can also, just because everything is just so up and down, I can break into the form, give it a little bit more variety, so it's not just one up and down line. And then maybe for this side right here, I'll put a lot of vegetation. I'll make my brush much, much bigger. Maybe this side is completely covered in some kind of bush or something like that. I'm just creating almost like a little fan effect with the brush. Maybe there's some other rocks or other things that we can see. I love drawing rocks. So much fun. And we can also add, you know, this sense of a horizon line. and we can add whatever else we need to add to kind of finish this out. So we've got this structure here, and it has this kind of a science fiction type of feel to it. It's very easy to create, super fast. You don't have to really worry about having to render everything from scratch. And some of these digital tools, like the perspective tool, can, I think, greatly simplify the process of creating these structures. You can make something look very interesting just having a repeating shape that scales up. So if you found some value in this tip, please consider giving it a thumbs up so more folks can find it. As always, I appreciate and value everything that you bring to this channel. Please, if you made it this far, just give me a comment. Tickle the algorithm a little bit for me so that more people can find this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.